The 25 most famous authors in the WORLD. Number 25. T.S. Eliot. Thomas Stearns Eliot was born on September 26, 1888, in St. Louis, Missouri, United States. He was a poet, playwright, and literary critic who became a central figure in English-language modernist poetry. Although born in the United States, Eliot moved to the United Kingdom in 1914 and became a British citizen in 1927. His most famous poem, The Waste Land, 1922, is a complex and fragmented work that reflects the disorder and disillusionment following World War I, combining multiple voices, languages, and cultural references. The poem explores themes like loss of faith, isolation, and the search for meaning in a fragmented world. Another significant poem is Four Quartets, 1943, where Eliot delves into philosophical and spiritual questions, reflecting on time, redemption, and human experience. As a playwright, he wrote works like Murder in the Cathedral, 1935, and The Cocktail Party, 1950, which explore religious and social themes. Eliot received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1948 for his outstanding and pioneering contribution to modern poetry. His innovative style, use of literary techniques like the interior monologue and collage of cultural references, greatly influenced 20th century poetry. In addition to his creative work, Eliot was an influential literary critic and editor, helping to shape the literary canon and promoting other writers like Ezra Pound and James Joyce. He died on January 4, 1965, in London. T.S. Eliot left a lasting legacy as one of the most important and influential poets in English literature. Number 24. Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe was born on January 19, 1809, in Boston, Massachusetts, United States. He was a writer, poet, critic, and editor known for his tales of mystery and the macabre, and is considered a precursor of the science fiction and detective genres. Among his most famous works are stories like The Tell-Tale Heart, The Fall of the House of Usher, and The Black Cat, which explore human psychology, guilt, and fear. His poem, The Raven, 1845, is an iconic piece of American poetry, known for its musicality, stylized language, and supernatural atmosphere. Poe is recognized for his ability to create intense atmospheres and explore extreme mental states. His stories often feature unreliable narrators and surprising endings, influencing generations of writers. In addition to his fiction, Poe was a sharp and sometimes scathing literary critic, defending the importance of originality and style in literature. His personal life was marked by tragedy and financial difficulties. He died on October 7, 1849, in Baltimore, Maryland, under mysterious circumstances that have given rise to speculation and legends. Edgar Allan Poe's legacy is vast, and his influence extends to literature, film, and popular culture. He is celebrated as a key figure in the development of American literature and as a master of the short story and poetry. Number 23. Oscar Wilde. Oscar Fingal O'Flaherty Wills Wilde was born on October 16, 1854, in Dublin, Ireland. He was a celebrated playwright, novelist, poet, and critic, renowned for his wit, brilliant conversation, and eccentric lifestyle. His only novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, 1890, is an exploration of aesthetics, morality, and decadence. The story follows Dorian Gray, a young man who wishes to maintain his eternal beauty while his portrait ages and reflects the effects of his life of excess and corruption. Wilde is especially known for his plays, such as The Importance of Being Earnest, 1895, a comedy that satirizes Victorian society and its conventions, and An Ideal Husband, 1895, which explores hypocrisy and political corruption. His literary style is characterized by sharp wit, paradoxes, and memorable epigrams. Wilde championed the aesthetic movement, promoting art for art's sake and the pursuit of beauty. Wilde's personal life was marked by controversy. In 1895, he was imprisoned for gross indecency due to his relationship with Lord Alfred Douglas. During his time in prison, he wrote De Profundis, a long reflective letter. After his release, he exiled himself in France, where he wrote The Ballad of Reading Gaol. Oscar Wilde died on November 30, 1900, in Paris, in poverty and ostracism. However, his reputation has been rehabilitated, and he is recognized as one of the most important and beloved writers for his contribution to literature and his defense of artistic and personal freedom. Number 22. Emily Dickinson. Emily Elizabeth Dickinson was born on December 10, 1830, in Amherst, Massachusetts, United States. She is considered one of the most important poets in American literature, known for her unique style and profound introspection. During her life, Dickinson led a reclusive existence, and only a few of her nearly 1,800 poems were published, often anonymously and edited without her consent. Her poems were discovered and published posthumously, revealing an innovative and powerful poetic voice. The themes of her poetry include death, immortality, nature, love, and existence. Her style is characterized by the use of dashes, unconventional capitalization, slant rhymes, and brevity that condenses deep emotions and thoughts. Poems like Because I Could Not Stop for Death and I'm Nobody. Who Are You? Showcase her ability to explore complex concepts with simplicity and depth. Dickinson challenged the poetic and social conventions of her time, and her work defied expectations about the role of women in personal expression. She died on May 15, 1886, in her hometown. The publication of her poems revolutionized modern poetry, and her influence is evident in numerous subsequent poets and writers. Emily Dickinson is celebrated for her originality and for opening new possibilities in poetic expression, making her a central figure in the literary canon. Number 21. Albert Camus. Albert Camus was born on November 7, 1913, in Mondovi, French Algeria. He was a French philosopher, writer, and journalist, associated with existentialism and known for his concept of the absurd. Camus received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1957, being one of the youngest recipients. His work explores themes like the absurdity of existence, freedom, rebellion, and the search for meaning in an indifferent world. His most famous novel, The Stranger, 1942, narrates the story of Marcel, a man who commits a seemingly motiveless murder and faces the indifference of society and the judicial system. The work examines alienation and the senselessness of life. Another notable work is The Plague, 1947, an allegory about an epidemic in the city of Oran that symbolizes human resistance in the face of suffering and oppression. Camus also wrote philosophical essays like The Myth of Sisyphus, 1942, where he introduces his philosophy of the absurd and analyzes how humans confront an existence lacking inherent purpose. Although often associated with existentialism, Camus rejected this label, preferring to focus on the human condition and the need to find value and meaning through our actions and solidarity with others. He died tragically in a car accident on January 4, 1960, in Villeblevin, France. Camus' legacy is profound, and his work continues to inspire reflections on morality, justice, and human experience in the modern world. Number 20. George Orwell. Eric Arthur Blair, known by his pen name George Orwell, was born on June 25, 1903, in Motihari, British India. He was an English novelist, essayist, and social critic, recognized for his advocacy of social justice and his opposition to totalitarianism. His most influential works are Animal Farm, 1945, and 1984-1949. Animal Farm is an allegorical fable that satirizes the corruption of revolutionary ideals in the Soviet Union, showing how leaders can manipulate language and propaganda to consolidate power. 1984 is a dystopian novel that presents a society subjected to total surveillance and control by the party and its leader, Big Brother. The work explores themes like manipulation of truth, erosion of freedom, and language as a tool of oppression. Concepts like doublethink, newspeak, and Big Brother have entered popular vocabulary, reflecting concerns about privacy and governmental authority. Orwell also wrote Homage to Catalonia, 1938, a chronicle of his experience in the Spanish Civil War, where he fought against fascism and became disillusioned with authoritarian communism. His style is clear and direct, committed to clarity and honesty. Orwell believed in the power of literature to influence society and advocated the importance of truth and intellectual integrity. He died on January 21, 1950, in London due to tuberculosis. George Orwell is celebrated as one of the most important writers of the 20th century, and his works remain relevant in debates about politics, ethics, and human rights. Number 19. Jorge Luis Borges. Born on August 24, 1899, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Jorge Luis Borges is one of the most influential writers of the 20th century. His work encompasses short stories, essays, and poetry, and is known for exploring metaphysical, philosophical, and fantastical themes. Borges is considered a master of the short story and a pioneer in the use of metafiction and intertextuality. His most notable collections include Ficciones, 1944, and The Aleph, 1949, where he addresses concepts like infinity, labyrinths, mirrors, and the nature of reality. Stories like The Library of Babel, The Garden of Forking Paths, and Pierre Minard, author of The Quixote, demonstrate his ability to combine erudition with imagination, challenging conventional perceptions of time and space. Borges was also a prolific essayist and poet, with deep knowledge of various cultures and literary traditions. His style is precise and concise, characterized by elegant prose and an economy of language that invites multiple interpretations. Although he never received the Nobel Prize in Literature, his influence on contemporary literature and thought is undeniable. Borges redefined the boundaries of fiction, inspiring generations of writers and readers to question the nature of the universe and human experience. He died on June 14, 1986, in Geneva, Switzerland. Jorge Luis Borges's legacy endures in his ability to fuse the real and the fantastic, creating literary worlds that continue to fascinate and stimulate philosophical reflection. Number 18. Herman Melville. Born on August 1, 1819, in New York City, United States, Herman Melville was a novelist, short story writer, and poet whose work has left an indelible mark on American literature. His most famous novel, Moby Dick, 1851, is a maritime epic that explores Captain Ahab's obsession with hunting an elusive white whale. The novel is rich in symbolism and encompasses themes like the nature of good and evil, existence, and destiny. Although initially not well received, Moby Dick is now considered a masterpiece for its narrative complexity and profound analysis of the human condition. Melville combines detailed descriptions of whaling with philosophical and biblical reflections, creating a multidimensional work. Other notable works include Bartleby, The Scrivener, 1853, a short story that examines alienation and passivity in the work environment, and Billy Budd, Sailor, published posthumously in 1924, which addresses themes of innocence, justice, and moral ambiguity. Melville's style is dense and poetic, with rich language and symbolic depth that invites multiple readings. Despite facing financial difficulties and criticism during his life, his work has been rediscovered and reevaluated, establishing him as one of the pillars of Western literature. He died on September 28, 1891, in New York City. Melville's literary legacy remains alive, and his explorations of the limits of human experience continue to inspire readers and writers worldwide. Number 17. Victor Hugo. Born on February 26, 1802, in Besançon, France, Victor Hugo was a poet, playwright, and novelist prominent in French Romanticism. His work covers a wide range of genres and themes, from lyrical poetry to epic novels that reflect his commitment to social and political issues of his time. Les Miserables, 1862, is his most recognized novel, an extensive work that follows the life of Jean Valjean, an ex-convict seeking redemption in post-Napoleonic France. The novel addresses themes like justice, morality, compassion, and social inequalities and has been adapted numerous times for theater and film. Another emblematic work is The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1831, which combines a tragic love story with a critique of medieval society and a celebration of Gothic architecture. Hugo was also an influential poet, with collections like Les Contemplations and La Légende des siècles, showcasing his lyrical talent and his ability to address universal themes. In addition to his literary work, Victor Hugo was a political activist and human rights advocate, opposing the death penalty and advocating for civil liberties and social justice. His exile during Napoleon III's regime strengthened his commitment to these ideals. He died on May 22, 1885, in Paris, and his funeral was a national event reflecting his stature as a cultural and moral figure. Victor Hugo's legacy is vast, and his influence endures in literature, art, and social thought. Number 16. Ernest Hemingway. Born on July 21, 1899, in Oak Park, Illinois, United States, Ernest Hemingway was a novelist and journalist whose direct and concise style transformed 20th century literature. Winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954, Hemingway is known for his iceberg theory, where most of a story's meaning lies beneath the surface. The Old Man and the Sea, 1952, is one of his most acclaimed works, earning him the Pulitzer Prize. The short novel narrates the epic struggle of a Cuban fisherman against a giant marlin, symbolizing themes of perseverance, courage, and dignity in the face of defeat. Other notable novels include For Whom the Bell Tolls, 1940, inspired by his experience in the Spanish Civil War, and A Farewell to Arms, 1929, a love story set during World War I. The Sun Also Rises, 1926, also known as Fiesta, captures the disillusionment of the lost generation after the war. Hemingway was an adventurer, participating in wars, safaris, and activities like hunting and fishing, experiences that enriched his writing. His personal life and public image contributed to his fame, but he also faced struggles with depression and health problems. He died by suicide on July 2, 1961, in Ketchum, Idaho. Hemingway's legacy is enduring, and his influence is felt in modern writing through his minimalist style and exploration of universal themes like courage, love, and death. Number 15. Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Born on March 6, 1927, in Aracataca, Colombia, Gabriel Garcia Marquez was a writer, screenwriter, and journalist, recognized as one of the most important exponents of magical realism and Latin American literature. Winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1982, his work fuses the fantastic with the everyday. 100 Years of Solitude, 1967, is his most emblematic novel, narrating the story of the Bundia family in the fictional town of Macondo. The work explores themes like cyclical time, solitude, destiny, and the history of Latin America, combining myths, legends, and social realities. Love in the Time of Cholera, 1985, is another of his outstanding works, a love story spanning more than half a century that examines the nature of love and patience. Garcia Marquez also wrote short stories and novellas, like Chronicle of a Death Foretold, 1981, showcasing his ability for suspense and social critique. His style is rich in imagery, with exuberant language that reflects Latin American culture and folklore. He was also a committed journalist and friend to political leaders, influencing his perspective and themes. He died on April 17, 2014, in Mexico City. His legacy is immense, and his influence extends beyond literature, being a key figure in the cultural identity of Latin America. Number 14. Virginia Woolf. Born on January 25, 1882, in London, England, Virginia Woolf was a prominent writer and essayist of literary modernism. Her innovation in the use of stream of consciousness and her exploration of subjectivity and perception revolutionized 20th century narrative. Mrs. Dalloway, 1925, is one of her most influential novels, following Clarissa Dalloway on a single day as she prepares for a party, intertwining the thoughts and experiences of various characters to delve into themes like time, memory, and identity. To the Lighthouse, 1927, is another significant work that explores family dynamics and changing perceptions over time, using an innovative narrative structure. In her essay, A Room of One's Own, 1929, Woolf addresses the need for economic independence and creative space for women writers, laying the foundations for feminist literary criticism. Virginia Woolf was a member of the Bloomsbury Group, a circle of intellectuals and artists who influenced British culture. Throughout her life, she struggled with mental health issues and ultimately died by suicide on March 28, 1941. Her literary legacy is lasting, and her work continues to inspire writers and scholars in exploring consciousness, gender, and narrative structures. Number 13. Mark Twain. Born as Samuel Langhorne Clemens on November 30, 1835, in Florida, Missouri, United States, Mark Twain is one of the most celebrated writers in American literature. Known for his wit, humor, and social criticism, Twain captured the essence of life along the Mississippi River and beyond. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, 1876, and Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, 1884, are his most famous works. The latter is considered one of the great American novels, addressing themes like friendship, freedom, and racism through the eyes of young Huck and the runaway slave Jim. Twain was a master of dialect and colloquial language, which brought authenticity and vitality to his characters. His satirical style and ability to critique social injustices without losing humor made him a unique voice. In addition to novels, Twain wrote essays, short stories, and gave lectures that made him famous in his time. Works like A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court show his interest in mixing genres and times to explore contemporary themes. He died on April 21, 1910, in Reading, Connecticut. Mark Twain left a legacy that continues to influence literature and culture, remembered as a witty and insightful chronicler of the American experience. Number 12. Franz Kafka. Born on July 3, 1883, in Prague, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Franz Kafka was a German-speaking writer whose works have had a profound influence on modern literature. His narratives often explore alienation, anxiety, and oppressive bureaucracy in an inexplicable and absurd world. The Metamorphosis, 1915, is one of his best-known stories, in which the protagonist, Gregor Samsa, wakes up transformed into a giant insect. The story is an allegory about identity, communication breakdown, and dehumanization. Novels like The Trial, published in 1925, and The Castle, 1926, present protagonists trapped in incomprehensible legal and administrative systems, reflecting the individual's struggle against uncontrollable forces. Kafka's style is characterized by clarity and precision, creating oppressive atmospheres and surreal situations that have given rise to the term Kafkaesque. Despite his talent, Kafka published little during his lifetime and asked his friend Max Brod to destroy his writings after his death. Brod ignored this request and published his works, ensuring his place in literary history. Franz Kafka died on June 3, 1924, in Kirling, Austria. His legacy is fundamental in existential and modern literature, and his works continue to resonate for their exploration of the depths of human experience. Number 11. Jane Austen. Born on December 16, 1775, in Steventon, Hampshire, England, Jane Austen is one of the most beloved and enduring novelists in English literature. Her works offer a satirical and critical view of the society of her time, focusing on human relationships and social conventions. Pride and Prejudice, 1813, is perhaps her most famous novel, which follows Elizabeth Bennet as she navigates the complexities of love, pride, and misunderstandings with Mr. Darcy. The novel explores themes of class, marriage, and reputation. Other notable works include Sense and Sensibility, 1811, Emma, 1815, Mansfield Park, 1814, and Persuasion, 1817. Austen wrote with irony and precision, portraying her characters with depth and realism. Although her novels focus on domestic matters and personal relationships, they address universal themes and offer subtle critiques of the limitations imposed on women and societal expectations. Jane Austen died on July 18, 1817, in Winchester, at the age of 41. Her literary legacy has grown over time, and her works continue to be widely read, studied, and adapted, appreciated for their wit, wisdom, and understanding of human nature. Number 10. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Born on August 28, 1749, in Frankfurt am Main, Germany, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe was a writer, poet, playwright, and scientist whose influence spans multiple fields of culture and knowledge. He is considered the greatest writer in the German language and a key figure in Romanticism. His most important work is Faust, a tragedy in two parts that narrates the pact of the scholar Faust with the devil Mephistopheles. The work explores profound themes such as the pursuit of knowledge, human desire, redemption, and the duality of good and evil. The Sorrows of Young Werther, 1774, is another significant work that had an enormous impact in its time, inspiring the Sturm und Drang movement and generating a cultural phenomenon around the protagonist. Goethe also made contributions in natural sciences, especially in color theory, and was an influential figure in politics and philosophy. His interest in art, nature, and universal culture is reflected in the diversity and depth of his work. He died on March 22, 1832, in Weimar, leaving a monumental legacy. Goethe is remembered not only for his literary genius but also for his contribution to humanism and his influence on Western culture. Number 9. James Joyce. Born on February 2, 1882, in Dublin, Ireland, James Augustine Aloysius Joyce was a writer and poet whose work revolutionized 20th century literature. Known for his innovative use of the stream of consciousness and experimental narrative techniques, Joyce explored the human mind and everyday life with unprecedented depth. His most famous work, Ulysses, 1922, is a monumental novel that follows the experiences of Leopold Bloom during a single day in Dublin, June 16, 1904. The novel reinterprets Homer's Odyssey in a modern context, using a variety of narrative styles and literary techniques, including stream of consciousness. Ulysses is considered one of the most important and influential works of modern literature, although it also generated controversy for its explicit and experimental content. Another significant work is A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, 1916, a semi-autobiographical novel that follows the intellectual and moral development of Stephen Dedalus, Joyce's alter ego, as he struggles with religion, culture, and his artistic identity. Finnegan's Wake, 1939, is his most experimental work, known for its complex language and multilingual wordplay. The novel challenges traditional narrative conventions and explores themes like the cycle of history and the nature of dreams. Joyce's style is known for its psychological depth, symbolism, and exploration of subjective reality. His influence on literature is immense, inspiring writers to experiment with new forms of expression. James Joyce died on January 13, 1941, in Zurich, Switzerland. His legacy endures as one of the pillars of modernist literature, and his work continues to be studied and admired for its innovation and narrative mastery. Number 8. Marcel Proust. Valentin Louis Georges Eugene Marcel Proust was born on July 10, 1871, in Auteuil, France. He is recognized for his monumental work, In Search of Lost Time, À la recherche du temps perdu, a series of 7 novels published between 1913 and 1927 that explore memory, time, and human experience. The work begins with Swan's Way and extends to Time Regained. Through a nameless narrator, often identified as Marcel, Proust delves into the memories of his life, analyzing the most minute details and the emotions associated with them. The famous Madeleine episode is a symbol of how a simple taste can trigger a cascade of memories. Proust's style is characterized by long and complex sentences, deep introspection, and meticulous attention to detail. His exploration of psychology and the subjective perception of time has influenced modern literature and philosophy. In addition to his main work, Proust wrote essays and literary criticisms, demonstrating his intellectual acumen and knowledge of French society and culture. Marcel Proust died on November 18, 1922, in Paris, due to pneumonia aggravated by his chronic asthma. His legacy is fundamental in world literature, and his exploration of memory and subjectivity continues to resonate with readers and writers. Number 7. Charles Dickens. Born on February 7, 1812, in Portsmouth, England, Charles John Huffam Dickens is one of the most beloved and recognized novelists of English literature. His works reflect incisive social criticism and a deep compassion for the disadvantaged and marginalized of Victorian society. Among his most famous novels are Oliver Twist, 1838, which addresses child exploitation and poverty, A Christmas Carol, 1843, a redemption story that has endured as a Christmas classic, David Copperfield, 1850, a semi-autobiographical novel that follows the personal growth of the protagonist, and Great Expectations, 1861, which explores themes of ambition, social class, and self-discovery. Dickens is known for his memorable and vivid characters, from the miserly Ebenezer Scrooge to the cunning Fagin. His ability to combine humor, pathos, and social criticism allowed him to address themes like injustice, corruption, and the inequalities of his time. In addition to novels, Dickens wrote short stories, articles, and was a prominent public speaker. His public readings of his works were very popular and contributed to his fame. Charles Dickens died on June 9, 1870, in Higham, Kent. His influence on literature is profound, and his works continue to be read, adapted, and appreciated for their humanity, captivating narrative, and commitment to social reform. Number 6. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky was born on November 11, 1821, in Moscow, Russia. He is one of the most important writers in Russian and world literature, known for his novels that explore human psychology, morality, and the complexities of free will. Among his masterpieces is Crime and Punishment, 1866, which follows Rodion Raskolnikov, an impoverished student who commits a murder and faces the psychological and ethical consequences of his action. The novel delves into themes like guilt, redemption, and the nature of good and evil. Another significant work is The Brothers Karamazov, 1880, a novel that addresses philosophical and theological questions through the story of three brothers and their corrupt father. The work explores themes like faith, reason, freedom, and moral responsibility. Dostoevsky also wrote The Idiot, 1869, and Demons, 1872, both novels reflecting his concerns about Russian society and the human condition. His style is characterized by intense dialogues, internal monologues, and deeply conflicted characters. Dostoevsky personally experienced financial difficulties and health problems, including epilepsy and years of exile in Siberia, experiences that influenced his writing. He died on February 9, 1881, in St. Petersburg. Dostoevsky's legacy is immense, and his exploration of human psychology has influenced modern literature, philosophy, and psychology. Number 5. Dante Alighieri. Durante di Alighiero degli Alighieri, known as Dante Alighieri, was born in 1265 in Florence, Italy. He is considered the father of the Italian language and one of the greatest poets in universal literature. His magnum opus, The Divine Comedy, written between 1308 and 1320, is an epic poem that describes the soul's journey through hell, purgatory, and paradise. The work is an allegory of human life and an exploration of themes like sin, redemption, love, and divine justice. Throughout his journey, Dante is guided by the Roman poet Virgil and later by Beatrice, his platonic love. The Divine Comedy is notable for its structure, language, and philosophical and theological depth. Dante wrote in the Tuscan dialect, laying the foundation for modern Italian and demonstrating that the vernacular language could be a medium for high-level literature. In addition to his main work, Dante wrote treatises on politics, philosophy, and linguistics, such as De Vulgari Eloquentia and Convivio. Exiled from Florence for political reasons, Dante spent much of his life wandering, which influenced his writings and worldview. He died on September 14, 1321, in Ravenna. Dante's impact on literature and culture is immeasurable, and The Divine Comedy continues to be studied and admired for its literary art and profound exploration of human existence. Number 4. Homer. Homer is the name attributed to the legendary Greek poet to whom the epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, are assigned, two of the oldest and most fundamental works of Western literature. Although the details of his life are uncertain and subject to debate, it is believed that he may have lived around the 8th century BCE. The Iliad narrates the events of the siege of Troy during the war between the Greeks, Achaeans, and the Trojans, focusing on the figure of the hero Achilles and themes like wrath, honor, and fate. The Odyssey follows the adventures of Odysseus, Ulysses, on his long and arduous journey home after the fall of Troy, exploring themes like cunning, endurance, and the quest for home. These epics have influenced literature, art, and culture for millennia, establishing archetypes and narratives that continue to resonate today. Homer's poems are also valuable for their depiction of Greek mythology, customs, and society of the time. Homer's style is epic, using dactylic hexameter and language rich in formulas and epithets, suggesting an oral tradition in the composition of his works. Although Homer's historical existence remains uncertain, his legacy is undeniable. The works attributed to him have been foundational in classical education and continue to be objects of study and admiration. Number 3. Leo Tolstoy. Lev Nikolaevich Tolstoy was born on September 9, 1828, in Yasnaya Polyana, Russia. He is one of the most prominent writers in world literature, known for his extensive novels that explore human nature and the complexities of Russian society. War and Peace, 1869, is one of his emblematic works, an epic novel that combines fiction with historical and philosophical essays. Through a wide cast of characters, Tolstoy portrays Russian life during the Napoleonic Wars, exploring themes like free will, destiny, and the impact of historical events on individual lives. Anna Karenina, 1877, is another of his masterpieces, narrating the tragic story of an aristocratic woman seeking love and happiness outside social conventions, addressing themes like morality, passion, and social hypocrisy. Tolstoy also wrote short stories and essays, such as The Death of Ivan Ilyich and How Much Land Does a Man Need?, reflecting his ethical and spiritual concerns. In his later life, he experienced a moral and religious conversion, adopting a simple lifestyle and advocating pacifism, non-violence, and universal love, influencing figures like Mahatma Gandhi. He died on November 20, 1910, at Astapovo railway station, after leaving his home in search of a more ascetic life. Tolstoy's legacy is vast, and his works continue to be read and studied for their psychological depth, realism, and exploration of universal issues. Number 2. Miguel de Cervantes Saavedra. Born on September 29, 1547, in Alcalá de Henares, Spain, Miguel de Cervantes Saavedra is considered the greatest figure in Spanish literature and one of the greatest writers in world literature. His masterpiece, Don Quixote, published in 2 parts in 1605 and 1615, is considered the first modern novel. The story follows Alonso Quixano, a hidalgo who, obsessed with chivalric novels, becomes the knight-errant Don Quixote, embarking on adventures alongside his squire Sancho Panza. Don Quixote is a work that combines humor, irony, and profound reflection on reality and illusion, madness and sanity, and the very nature of literature. The novel is rich in memorable characters and situations that have influenced culture and art worldwide. Cervantes also wrote Novelas Ejemplares, a collection of short stories that explore various themes and demonstrate his narrative versatility. His life was marked by adventures and difficulties, including his participation in the Battle of Lepanto, where he lost the use of his left hand, and years of captivity in Algiers after being captured by pirates. He died on April 22, 1616, in Madrid. Miguel de Cervantes is remembered as the Prince of Wits, and his legacy endures in the richness of his work and his impact on world literature. Number 1. William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was born in April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, England, and is widely considered the greatest writer in the English language and one of the most important playwrights in history. His work encompasses 39 plays, 154 sonnets, and other poems. Shakespeare's plays include tragedies like Hamlet, Macbeth, Othello, and King Lear, which explore ambition, betrayal, love, and the human condition with unprecedented psychological depth. He also wrote comedies like A Midsummer Night's Dream, Much Ado About Nothing, and The Merchant of Venice, which combine wit, humor, and social critique. His historical plays, such as Henry V and Richard III, offer perspectives on power, politics, and national identity. Shakespeare's sonnets are lyrical poems that address themes like love, time, beauty, and mortality, demonstrating his mastery of language and poetic form. Shakespeare's language has enriched English with countless words and expressions. His profound understanding of human nature and his ability to portray universal emotions and conflicts have made his works transcend time and culture. He died on April 23, 1616, in his hometown. William Shakespeare's legacy is unparalleled, and his works continue to be performed, studied, and celebrated worldwide, reflecting the eternity of his literary genius. Thank you for watching our video. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Give it a like, comment your thoughts, and share this video with your friends and family.